Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2021 film The Deep House, and this is an Alexandre Bustillo and Julien Maury film, which, so you know, I have reviewed other films of theirs, and very recently, Inside as well as Livid, and I also had a review for Candisha that went up some time ago because that's on Shudder. This one, The Deep House, is not on Shudder when I'm reviewing this. It's on Hulu, so if you hurry up and go watch it, it may still be there. I'm going to recommend this to people who are into found footage films. I think I'm not, just so you know, that's a disclaimer, and I think that my enjoyment of that genre kind of tints my review of the film, but I have a lot of things to say that are very unbiased with the film. I think the only thing that is kind of tainted by my bias against found footage may be my final rating, but I'll kind of explain that more when I get to the end. But The Deep House 2021 film, so it's very new. For that reason, this is a no spoiler review, so you can definitely watch this review and still go see the film and have nothing ruined for you, basically. So like I said, directed by Alexandre Bustillo and Julien Maury, who also did Inside, Among the Living, ABCs of Death 2, they had a segment in that, Candisha, and Livid. Now, I will say that this film, as far as how much I like it, fits in between how I felt about Inside and Livid. I liked Livid more. I liked Inside less. So, just say that much. This was written by Bustillo as well as Maury, and Rachel Parker was also involved in this, who doesn't have any other writing credits on IMDb. It's mainly kind of like small acting parts credits. Quick synopsis. I'm going to tell you the big thing about the film because if you've seen the trailers, it's in the trailers, I assume. It's in the marketing of the film. It's literally on the poster. It's a underwater haunted house film, but found footage style. Although it's not always found footage. There are some moments of filming that are not found footage, but it is actually a little bit weird to me because they didn't continue that. It's kind of like, in the beginning, it's starting with some found footage, and then they step out of the found footage, and then they go back to the found footage at some point, and then they don't go away from it until the very end. So, I don't know, I kind of feel like it would have been cooler to get a bit of a, more of a mixture at certain times of the found footage versus not found footage, but that's just me. I'm sure, like I said, a lot of people who are into found footage will probably find this very interesting and won't have that issue that I have with it. So, literally, people go scuba diving. They have a YouTube channel, basically. They don't specifically say that, but it's like these YouTube channels of people who go and go to abandoned buildings and stuff, which I will be honest, I watch YouTube channels like that because I find it very fascinating. There's something very haunting and creepy about where civilization was or society was, and then all of a sudden it's just been abandoned for however long, and like nature has taken it back, and it just looks so haunting. So it's a great premise for it. I love the premise for this film. Underwater haunted house, great. I personally would have liked it to be not found footage because I will talk about what things kind of present issues for me personally as far as found footage goes, but I realize that's not an issue for a lot of people. The one thing that I liked about the little bit of non-found footage that they threw in there, and why I wanted some more, the found footage is kind of like what the main characters want you to see from like a YouTube type channel perspective, and the non-found footage is like the behind the scenes that they don't necessarily want you to see. So I would have liked it if they balanced it a little bit more, so you got more of that kind of duality of like, this is what their viewers would see and what they're kind of dressing up as this is what they want people to see, versus this is kind of like what's more realistic and more raw and kind of behind the scenes. And then at that point, you can get more character development and a little more introspective with the actual characters. Now, that actually points to one of the big problems with this that I think, from a personal standpoint, is a big problem for Bustillo and Maury in general with all their films I've seen of theirs. Characters aren't their thing. They are very good at a lot of things. Directing, cinematography, story concepts in general, and executing stories in general, creepy atmosphere. They do a lot of wonderful stuff. But you can't be good at everything. And one thing I don't really think they're good at is creating good characters. A lot of their characters, or just about every character I've ever seen in their films, very paper thin, very one-dimensional. You don't really feel connected to them. You can see instances where they try to form that connection with the audience, but it's too brief and it doesn't really happen. So like I said, they're just not great at writing characters or developing characters. So, but conceptually, awesome. You know, a lot of technical stuff that they pull off, awesome. Oh, another thing I forgot to throw in there. They're really good at matching scores to films, and this is no exception. I do like the score in this quite a bit, although I don't like it nearly as much as the score from Livid. The score in Livid was outstanding. Love, love, love that one. But this is quite good as well. So there's a mundane conversation in the beginning of the film between the two main characters that, you know, kind of might get passed off as just like, oh, this is important. But it kind of sets up something important for much later in the film. I saw that immediately. I thought it was maybe a little bit too telegraphed just because that conversation goes on probably longer than it needed to. But some other people might not feel that way. Just a thought. They probably take more time than is needed to actually get to the underwater exploration. This film is about an hour and a half long. It definitely feels like there's a little bit added in there from time to time. A little here, a little there. That could have been snipped out, should have been snipped out. That was kind of added for stretching the runtime, which is one thing I hate. I might be wrong about why it's like that, but it comes off that way to me with a few of the things. The pacing is not great, in my opinion, but what I will say in their defense for that is, in general, found footage films for me have bad pacing typically. There are ones that don't, but I find a lot of them have bad pacing, but it's because of what the genre is. Like, it's literally like showing a person, you know, going through whatever they're doing, and it's not like usually editing it. And in the case of this particular film and the story that's being told here, it's being shown as this is what happened, you know, not being edited. It's like raw material, basically. And that's what a lot of found footage is. And for that reason, the pacing does suffer. And I think that's one of the big reasons I'm not into found footage, because I'm big on pacing, and pacing just kills me with found footage films. So that's at play here. So that's why I say that people into found footage will probably be fine with this and won't really hate the pacing. Now, something that mitigates the pacing issues a bit is the set design. The fact that it's shot underwater, super unique and interesting. I love that aspect of it. The fact that being underwater adds this extra interesting ethereal look and feel to a haunted house is awesome. I love that aspect of it. And just like in their film Livid, they do a wonderful job of creepy, dark, house design, old house design in this, but underwater, which, like I said, gives it that extra ethereal aspect as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff to look at, and there's a lot of creepy set pieces in this, and they do a good job with that stuff. The underwater stuff looks great and is a very welcome change for a horror film, in my opinion. I don't know why we haven't done more underwater horror films. I know there are ones out there, and I've seen a decent amount of them. But I'm just someone, for some reason, who just likes underwater stuff. I don't know why. My favorite place to go is the aquarium, to be honest. I love the aquarium. I love deep sea stuff. It's just fascinating to me. It really is. And it's very peaceful at the same time. And that's one of the interesting things with this film, too, is like it's creepy and scary, but it's also like peaceful at the same time because of the nature of being underwater and how everything just kind of floats. Just weightlessness. There are some okay-ish jump scares. I'm not a big fan of jump scares unless they're super well done. And I usually find that they're most impactful when there's like no jump scares and then a decent amount in the film that you do one jump scare and then that's basically it. This does a few jump scares. They're not bad, but I'm just not big on jump scares. The exploration aspect of the house is very engaging and reminds me of the exploration of the creepy old house in Livid. Even though I liked it better in Livid, still they did quite a good job in the Deep House. What's cool about an old creepy house underwater is the ethereal look and feel. I already talked about that. Unfortunately, a lot of the dialogue basically just keeps being repeated. Very repetitious. And I think that's another thing that ends up happening in general with found footage films. It's like they just kind of needed filler dialogue, but they would have been better off just being silent. And when I say silent, I don't mean like being 100% silent, because you have the sound design. You have what it sounds like to be underwater, and like hearing the air bubbles going up and everything like that, and people's breathing, which helps kind of add to the atmosphere and can add to the tension of situations. I just think that they needed to cut out a bunch of the repetitious dialogue, because it just got boring. It just seemed like it was there for no reason, and I was just like, many times, just like, okay, we talked about this already. We're just repeating things over and over again. Let's move somewhere, and that plays into the whole pacing issue, in my opinion. So, yeah, not big on that. The pacing is slow, like I already said. Between the found footage style and being underwater, it's a bit disorienting, which helps you actually identify with the main characters. So where some people may hate the disorienting aspect of it, and that's something a lot of times I do dislike about found footage, I think it works in favor of the story and the film in this instance, because literally it's very disorienting to be in that situation underwater, especially in a house underwater. And yeah, you're just disoriented, and you can just sympathize with what the characters are going through. It makes it very realistic in that sense. The ending is okay. I was like, it's fine. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I was pretty in between on the ending of it. There is a post-credit scene, and it seems very, very innocuous. But if you think further about the post-credit scene and what you're seeing there, it actually adds I would say different, not different, a new aspect to the story that was told. So stick around for the post-credit scene, especially if you like the film, because it adds a little something extra to the story, and I think that was cool. I did like that. Plenty of great camera work, plenty of creepy set pieces. Like I said, the score was good. It looks really good. It's a cool, unique idea, so I liked it overall. And like I said, the characters are one of the biggest problems, the repetitious dialogue and the pacing, which, some of that's just, it's found footage. So for me personally, out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it a 3-star rating, which is actually pretty good for me for a film like this. But I would bet that there are plenty of people, especially people who like found footage a lot, who would give this film a lot higher. And I am interested in hearing from you people, as well as people who didn't like it. All opinions. I just want to hear differing opinions. So let me know in the comments, like it, hate it, in between, and tell me why. At least a sentence or two. Don't just say, I liked it, I didn't like it. Give me a little bit to work with, because maybe you can tell me some stuff I didn't see in it, or some stuff that may kind of change my mind about how I feel about it, because I'm open to that, totally. But go ahead and put it in the comments. Do me a quick favor if you can, and you can, because it's very easy, and it's quick, and it's painless. Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, that is the best way to keep me motivated. That is the way to repay me, because I'm just putting free content out here, and I'm not getting paid to do it at this point, so I'm doing this for creativity purposes, as like an outlet for me, and to try and build a nerdy horror community here with people who really want to get nerdy and talk nerdy with me about horror. But also, it's just nice to, get that boost from people subscribing, because it ups my morale and it keeps me motivated to do the videos. Also, hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting up all my new videos. I'm doing 4 a week at this point, and I think that's a pretty solid amount, just saying. But anyway, regardless, I really do thank you for taking your time to watch this video. And until next time, keep it brutal.